Some time ago, I made a video about wheelchair independence, and I have to say it was pretty rough edged. My hair was all over, and it was okay, but not the kind I would want. So we're gonna do it again, but better. So hang on there, and we are gonna give it a whirl here. Now, first of all, when you're building independence, the word is key, building. So it doesn't happen all at once. The first thing you need to do a mind shift is to really think about your wheelchair not as a trap, not as your enemy, but as a tool. The wheelchair is your tool of every day. Gives you freedom to get from point A to point B. Now, in building that independence, there are different levels of independence. So we'll talk about that in the video as we go along. But, you have to look at what kind of things are urgent for you to fix, like, as soon as possible. What kind of things are just annoying and it might be important to solve soon, but doesn't have to be tomorrow? And what kind of things can wait, would be nice to have, would be nice to change, but, will be down the road. So you have to look at those three levels. But anyway, in a simple way, you could say, what is your goal for this week? What kind of things do you want to change so that you can be a little bit more independent? And I'll talk about later about some things that I changed gradually because there were some things that I really could not handle on my own. So mindset is important, and you have to take your time to really look at what is practical to say, I want to be independent in XYZ. We will not be independent in everything, and I'll talk about what I mean by that. So first, propulsion and your ability to get around will be important, in your manual wheelchair or in your power wheelchair, to make sure you have those skills down. Now, so the more you practice, the better, and that you have that down, because that's what's gonna catapult your independence. Let's put it that way. But the other things are your environment. What's around you. And the first environment is your home. The first environment is your home. And you have to kind of look at what kind of things do you want to change or adjust. It might be not a complete change, but adjust so that you can handle it better. So the first thing that I looked at was my room, this space right here. And I was in a totally different room when I did this video the first time. But I needed to figure out what kind of actions I could not do that I would need help with, and what kind of actions I wanted to do and that I might need to make some changes. And the first thing I did was take my power strips, and I put them on my tables where I could reach them and plug things in, so I didn't have to ask for somebody every single time to plug something in or to unplug something and all that kind of stuff. So that was like a first small step. My closet was driving me crazy because I couldn't really reach my clothes. I had to do a little bit of research how I was going to make that better for me and for me to be a little bit more independent. And I found these hooks that bring the bar down so I could hang the clothes at my level. So instead of the bar being up here, I could put some hooks, and there are some bars down below where I could hang my own clothes or get my own clothes when I needed them. So it's just those little steps that I started to make. And of course, I was in rehab and all of that, you know. And what's important to me might not be as important to you. But, you know, you might have other priorities to build that independence that you want to do on your own and not have somebody to do it for you all the time. So there's always, where there's a will, there's a way. So I had, what else? I had issues with my lights because I had to keep on going around and turning this on, turning that off. And I thought, what the heck am I doing? So then I learned more about Alexa and how Alexa could help me with different lights and what I needed to change for those lights. And I learned about plugs, I learned about light bulbs, and, you know, some things worked, some things didn't. So in this new environment, I'm still trying to adjust. You know, I changed some plugs, and those are not quite working, but down the road, I'll get the right plugs, because I got the wrong plugs. They really don't work with, don't play nice with Alexa. So I will have to change that so I can manipulate my own lights by voice, not so much by going. Because once I'm laying down, it's hard for me to lay down. It's hard for me to get up. So I want those lights to be that I can control with my voice. So those are the things that I'm talking about. I'm not independent with reaching things that are high. You know, I was trying to adjust. You'll see a pillow back there on my recliner. And last night I was just trying to get one with my reacher, and all the pillows were falling down. Then I could not put them back up, and it was that battle last night. So I asked one of the members here to help me with the choosing of a pillow that I needed for my recliner. So we did that this morning, and she put all the pillows back, but she had the same problem because they were all sliding down and falling down. So it was kind of fun to see. I wasn't the only one. So I'm not independent in everything, but I'm independent on a lot of things. There are different levels of independence, and they'll be different for you than they are for me. You know, I'm not driving at this time. I'm having second thoughts about driving. So I don't know. I don't know where I'll go with the driving. And you might be driving and be doing fine, but you need help getting dressed in the morning and getting from point A to point B. I don't need help with dressing or bathing, but you might. So it's those little details, and that's okay. That's your level of independence. You can do everything. Once you are in that wheelchair, you are Speedy Gonzalez down that runway, and you can do anything when you're in that wheelchair. But before that, you know, you need assistance with getting clothed or taking that shower that you need, and that you're not quite independent. And that's okay. There's going to be some things that we cannot conquer, and those are things, again, for things that are high for me. I'm not independent. I have to ask someone to get them for me. Sometimes I'll try to use a reacher, but it's not too safe for me to do that. With pillows, it's safe enough, but I was not quite successful last night. So you know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that there are some things you can change so you can do them on your own. And there will be some things that you won't be able to change, and that'll be okay. That'll be just your area in which you're not independent. And I had to recognize the areas in which I will not be independent. So we have to think about those pointers. You have to think about who you are and what are your strengths. You know, you could ask for rehab in a particular area to improve something. Like if you're falling all the time, that's not too good because you could break something or some part of you. So in rehab, they have exercises to be able to train you to be able to get up. I have that at least once a year, in which they put me flat on the ground and they have a chair or something close by, and I have to push myself to get up. And there's a technique to it, you know, for you and for me. And, you know, am I independent getting up? No, not exactly. You know, there are good days and bad days for me. And so I have to kind of think it through if I fall. If you're going out, you know, how much help do you need? In a lot of us, once we are in that wheelchair, we are on a roll, and we don't need any more help because we know how to get around. We can use you know, Google Maps. We can use other apps if we need to figure out where to go, how to go. You know, important to build a support system. You know who to ask for things. Your sister who comes over, oh, could you fix this curtain in my shower? Or can you reach this for me? You know, or your neighbor who comes over. So it's just those little support systems that you and I will always need. But that doesn't mean we're not independent. It doesn't mean that at all. Community is strength. So if you have a group you want to join, that's good too, because that is another strength and another way of being independent. You build your own friends, you build your own support system there as well, because not everybody understands our situation. They'll see us, but there's not that understanding. They walk, they do everything on their own, and talk about the struggles that we go through as a wheelchair user is beyond their reach, and always will be. They'll try to understand, and we have to give them credit for that. So that is what I wanted to say on this video on building wheelchair independence. And for everyone, it is slightly different. Do your research, ask questions, touch base with someone on how to, if you need something electronic installed to close your blinds or to turn on the water, or those kind of things have a solution, but sometimes they can be a little bit more complex. And so you just have to find the right person and the right information to be able to get it done, to install or to integrate independence for you. So I gave you some details on what I've done to my room. You know, I keep the power strips on a table or on a ledge. I keep the phone at my reach. I keep all my office stuff at my reach. I keep a clock right in front of me. There's a large clock off screen here that I can see all the way back there. Then I don't have to turn my head to see my clock on my desk. So it's all those things that help me remain independent. I learned about the van system here in my county, and that gives me some independence to schedule things and go where I need to go. Sometimes they're a little late in picking me up, but I get home. That's the important thing. Uh, if you struggle emotionally, then you might want to consider a therapist, a counselor to help you bring down those emotions, because sometimes we do have those high emotions and it's hard to get them down sometimes, or to how to control emotionally how we react to our pain, which will always be there for many of us, not for all of us, but for many of us. The name I wanted to bring up was occupational therapist. If you needed help managing your kitchen or managing your bathroom, that's an occupational therapist. Or handling your bedroom better, that's an occupational therapist. A physical therapist would be for your pain or your getting on and off the chair, that kind of thing. Getting dressed. If you have hopes to dressing yourself, then that would be an occupational therapist. So there's all kinds of different things that we can do gradually, and you have to make that a priority list. What is most important, what is least important, and begin to hammer those out. And by the time you know it, you'll be more independent than you were when all of this started. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts and those ideas. I talk a lot about the different things that I do, but I need some assistance, like going fishing. I need somebody to drive. I'll need somebody to assist in putting a picnic type thing together, unless we're going to cook out there, kind of thing. So I can't do it all. I can do some things, like tell jokes. So set some goals for yourself, for this week, for next week, or for next month. What needs to wait, what can happen now, that kind of thing. What is urgent for you to fix now? And it can't be everything. I'll tell you one thing, it can't be everything. But a lot of things we can do, we can work on making things better for us so that we are independent in more things than we thought we could ever do. All right, folks, you have any questions about this or any ideas that you need, let me know, post down below, and let us know what you did to become more independent as a wheelchair user. Well, you know what to do. And don't forget the Red Cross if you have the ability to donate, even if it's $5 or $10. It'll be very helpful to the people here in the United States who have experienced a lot of flooding in New Mexico and Texas. And thank you to Mexico who came over to help us. We appreciate any help we can get right now. So thank you for your assistance and your help for our brothers and sisters who have struggled with the floods.